Okay, hello everyone. My name is Dave Carney, and I teach phys ed grades kindergarten through fifth grade in Fort Myers, Florida. And this is designing a successful large group physical education program. This is the second session. It is procedures and routines. So here's today's topics. We will cover signals, music, and how will discipline be handled. Okay, first we have signals. So what I like to do is I like to pick one or two the first month, and don't use too many. Get the students used to one or two, which we'll go over soon. Add more as you need them. So again, I'll start now. Pick one or two. One of my go-tos is just say freeze please and put your hand in the air. You can use different ones, again, which we'll talk about more, like blowing the whistle, clapping in a pattern. Okay, add more as you need them, but don't overwhelm, especially kindergarten, with too many, because that just won't be good, and it'll be too many, and they won't remember any of them. So these are some of them. Raise your hand, clapping, whistle, music, counting down. That's a good one. Count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Tell them they have to be somewhere or do something by that time. And also with kindergarten and first grade, learning the boundaries and personal space. So most of the kindergartners have no concept of why we put cones on the field. They just keep going and keep running. Or why and what is personal space, and why do we talk about it? So I will have them on their dots, and I will show them this is their space, where we can walk around with their hands, kind of making a helicopter motion just a little bit. Just that is your personal space. But learning those is very important, especially in the beginning. And for small groups, one of the things I like to do is, especially if they're in the field, I'll have them take a knee so they can listen to the instructions or answer a question that I pose. Hands on head. Now I use that a lot, especially in cup stacking. So if I need their attention, I will blow the whistle and they'll put their hands on their head so they're not messing with the cups and making noises while I'm talking. Or something like a foot on a ball, which in soccer or even in basketball, just put the ball down, foot on the ball, and then they're ready to go, and they're not making noises or they're not bouncing the ball while you're trying to talk. So those are all good signals to use. Okay, now we're going to break things down. Why music? What platform do I use? What apps should I use? And when? When do I use music? And how can you control it remotely or in a different way? So the first question is why? Why do we use music? Well, it's all these reasons and more. It sets the tone. So if you're trying to do a cool down, you want it a little bit softer. If you want it in the beginning of class, you want to get the pumping up the kids, the volume up, high energy. You could use it for, again, for exercising, for rotating stations. You could start and stop. Tell them when they find a dot when the music stops, or they're supposed to be somewhere or do something when the music stops. You could tell them that what I do is if the music's on, they may get a drink. If it's off, they may not, and use the bathroom, things like that. Theme music is great as far as like if we're doing an Avengers theme, we could be playing Avengers music, or Pirates of the Caribbean or Star Wars. You could use that for theme, or like a haunted house. We have like kind of spookier music, and just overall, it's fun. That's why we use music. It's fun. Okay, here's some of the music platforms and apps that I use. Now, I don't use Spotify, but I want to put that there because that's a pretty major one, a pretty important one. I use Apple Music sharing, along with Fit Radio. I use a lot, especially for 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. The older grades, it's more of a workout type beat. I will use like Kids Bop on the Apple Music sharing. I'll use other songs that are clean. I'll pick to use. Then now the one in the corner is Tempo Magic Pro. I use that quite a bit. That is an app that controls the tempo of the song. Either makes the song go faster or slower. The younger kids especially love it because then you'll go really fast and then you'll go really slow, like real slow, and they just love it. It just sounds great. And GarageBand, I'll make my own mixes, my music montages. So in that way, I vary the music, and these are the platforms again that I use in the apps. Okay, music, the when now and the how. when do we use it, and how do we use it? Okay, I use it the first few minutes for a dance or exercise warm-up. Again, during stations, bathroom and drinks are allowed at that point. And also, by the way, at the end of the class, if you're doing a cool down, that's a great time. And now, how can you control the music? Now, I've done different things. I've had different devices. Technology changes, obviously. I use it now from either I plug it in to my stereo system, and then I could use it wirelessly, like Bluetooth from my Apple Watch. You can use it from your iPad, from your phone. Just plug it in. I had an iPod. Again, things change. I have that as a backup just in case. So platforms change, technology changes, but you need to figure out a way to control it wirelessly or control it where you're nearby. Okay, now we're going to move to discipline, the not so fun part. But it's something we need to talk about because it's very important, and how we're going to handle it and what we're going to do. So here's your things to consider. First of all, your school policy. So what is the school policy? We changed this year from minor infractions and referrals to a totally different plan. And you need to get with your administration. Obviously, get the teachers involved and know the school policy. Another big one, especially for PE, is what's major and what's minor incidents. What warrants a referral or some heavier discipline versus just a warning or something a little less as a consequence. The next one is what boundaries or procedures are a must and what are permissible, and that's really up to you. So what things are a definite never, and what things are okay. It's not great, but we can live with it. It's more of a warning. And the big question is, how do you want to incorporate structure and discipline? Okay, it's your program. You are in charge. As long as it's something that works for your administration, for the teachers, it's your program. So you need to figure out what you want to do with your program. Here's some possibilities. The conflict corner, that's a pretty popular use of discipline where the students go to a corner and they talk out their problems. The PE specialist, the physical educator, that's Joey Fife, they have posters available, and some other people do as well for the conflict corner, which I use as well. Now, I use the reflection corner for the older students where they fill out a form. It's a real simple form. It could be digital or not. Mine is not. It is just a piece of paper saying their name, their teacher, asking them what happened, what they could have done differently, and what was the outcome, kind of thing, or what can they do next time to make it different, and that's their ticket back into a game. So we also have a bench or a timeout area. So if you have one, just for students to cool off for a few minutes, or if they just need to be separated from their friends or somebody else that's just a bad combination at the time. If there's a timeout place, that's really a must. So I'm going to show you this in a moment. I have a free day, like a fun Friday. So I know some people do that. Some people just do like a free day at the end of the quarter or something like that, at the end of a unit. So we have a Google form which we fill out, a real simple one, and it goes right to a spreadsheet where my administration can see it as well if they see certain names keep popping up. And they need to sit out for, we usually have like 2 songs during the beginning of our Fun Friday, or it depends on what the severity of the consequence is, but usually 2 songs they sit out. And having step-by-step warnings and consequences posted in your PE pavilion or your gym is a must. So the students know exactly what's expected of them, exactly what happens. Usually a warning, then like a 5-minute timeout, then a 10-minute timeout. Could be a trip to the office or a phone call home, that type of thing. So it's just a step-by-step, almost like a guide, so they know what's expected of them and what the consequences are. So here is the example of what I'm using this year. It's a simple Google form. Most of the things are posted here. It's little check boxes. It could be more than one thing. If they're not following directions and they're disrespectful, for instance, you could put, just check those, and it goes right to the Google sheet or spreadsheet. where, as you can see, some of these are my kids, my personal children's names, and I just made up a couple names there too. Name, teacher, and what happened, and there's a timestamp so we know, the date and the time. Okay, now we've come to part 3, planning. So my theory is go big, then go small. Look at the big picture, the yearly picture first. Basically get a big calendar, or at least a decent-sized calendar. Even a dollar store calendar would be fine. And go through your calendar that your school district provides and cross off the dates that you are not at school, the holidays, just work days. Get that all figured out first, maybe even testing dates. In my case, I have to move when there's testing going on. So anything you can kind of map out on your calendar, go big first. And then break it into smaller chunks, either quarterly or monthly. What I like to do is break it down into the games I'm going to do the first month. Right now we're in August, so I'm going to do, beginning of the school year kind of things like cooperative learning type activities, team building, more large group, and then later on the smaller games, just target games to start usually, basic tag games, but just kind of mapping that out per month. And decide on the units. So, kind of like I just said, decide what you're going to do during the school year. Don't just put it all together the last second. Decide on the structure of your year, and so go big and then go smaller, smaller, smaller. So now we're down to structuring weeks. So my weeks are pretty predictable actually, and we want to be consistent so the students know. Now you can switch it up, and you could be mysterious and silly and do something totally different, and that's okay. But my students know, for the most part, unless it's raining or something is going on, that Mondays we do like a Monday run day where they run a couple laps, and they also play a game. And this year we're actually just going to switch, where half the class runs a couple laps, the other class is doing something different in the pavilion, and they're going to switch. And Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are basic stations and the real kind of the heart of the learning, the heart of the questioning. And then Fridays are fun Fridays, where they choose a station and they can play just various things, either that we're currently doing or things that we will be doing, or things that we just don't have time for, just random things. So that is the structure, and they know it. They know that that's the structure of the week. And sometimes they have fun Fridays and sometimes they don't. But we see them 3 times a week. So some teachers, some educators can't do this because they see each class once a week or twice a week. I can afford to do this because we see them so much that we try to give them a break on Fridays and let them explore their interests and other things. Okay, how to plan. Now, SHAPE standards or state standards, and that's something you need to ask either your district, ask whoever's in charge of the PE programming. In my case, we're supposed to use our state standards. Sometimes I feel like the SHAPE is a little better because our state ones are a little bit older. So we're currently working on new standards. So that's up to your district. So I kind of do almost like a combination of both of them. Now, the best way I learned this a few years ago, is UBD, or Understanding by Design, which is really like backwards design. So start with the end in mind and then work backwards. And this is actually the opposite of what most people do. So the goal of UBD is to define the outcome first. So what is the standard, or what is the grade level outcome? And then look at how it can be assessed, which we'll talk about in a little bit. It's formally or informally, or very strict as far as testing, or more just informal, like either self-assessed or peer-assessed or something like that. Okay, pick the game or activity that fits it. Now, this is usually the opposite of most people. They do the exact opposite. They're just like, this is the best way. And here's an example of what most teachers do that I see on social media. I saw a game on social media. This game is really cool looking, it's popular, it's fun. Let's play it tomorrow or next week. How can we do this? Well, it looks like fun. Let's just fit it in and take videos and pictures. And my job, it rocks. My job is the best because this is how I do this. This is not how a quality physical education should look. And now for something completely different. Try this instead. Okay, so take it slow. Grades kindergarten through second grade. Again, cooperative learning, team building, general personal space, boundaries, locomotor movement. Basic skills first, and then build on them. Okay, TGFU for grades 3 and up. This is my favorite way to teach. Target games, then striking and fielding, then at wall games, then invasion games. Okay, this is not the presentation for all these, but this is the best way, I feel, to teach and to question. So you unpack the standard. Then you figure out how you're going to assess it, and then you decide what game fits the criteria. So it's the exact opposite of what I generally see on social media. So let's take a look. Unpack it first. Okay, here's an example of a shape standard 1. And it's grade 3. So it says throws underhand to a partner or target with reasonable accuracy. So you really have to look at the verbs, or the verb, throws. And it's with reasonable accuracy, so it doesn't mean it has to be 100%. So how can we measure observed? Now you can use a self-assess, you could partner assess. There's many different ways. But they're going to throw it, so that's how we're going to assess. We're going to assess their throwing. It's underhand. Again, it's reasonable accuracy. So what game or activity can accomplish this? It could be something simple like a beanbag toss into a hoop from varying distances. If you make 8 out of 10, you move to the next level, or move back a little bit, move back a step, move back to the next dot. So this is a simple way they can play this game. It starts with a standard, then you look at how you're going to assess it, then you look for the game. I thank you for tuning in today. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at supersizephysed.com, where you can find my email and other contact information. Thank you again. I look forward to speaking to you soon.